Welcome back to another action-packed episode of the Grumpy Gits. This week we talk to our good friend Eva Abley about her astonishing career progression, her awards, and we also get personal about the challenges that rising fame brings, as well as the obvious highs. We hear from Disability Expo about the main stage of the event in July, where Eva, the Grumpy Gits, and many others will be performing live. We also get personal in what may be the most vulnerable discussion yet. The guys talk about their weight, body image, and what it's like for men as well as women in a beauty-obsessed world. All this and the usual favourites, including See You Next Tuesday, so make sure you're comfy, grab a brew and enjoy another banterful episode, and remember, don't be grumpy alone.
Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever in the world you happen to be joining us, and welcome to another fan-dabby-dozy episode of the Grumpy Gits. It's not copyright, I checked. I am your glorious host, Adam Pearson, as always, leading you to the carnage and chaos that is rapidly becoming our podcast. But I am not alone, oh no. As ever, I am joined by three titans among men here for the beer, the bants, and a discussion point that has got me already spinning out. Spoiler alert for later in the show. Up first, I know what you're thinking, blimey, this new guy looks a bit flush, and I can explain why. He tried to buy a burglar alarm and wound up buying a massager. Martin Deegan, how are you, good sir?
I'm very good, thank you, mate. Very good. I'm looking a little bit flushed today, and it's got nothing to do with a burglar alarm this time round.
Did Chris recommend the massager? Because then we know he's in trouble and we know why he's red.
He asked, I answered.
I can neither confirm nor deny, but I'm doing very well, thank you, Adam.
Ready for another hour and a half of utter carnage?
Bring it on, I'm ready.
You've got some fucking receipts coming from last week, mate, let me tell you. We are also joined by the Sunder from Down Under. Here he is, smiling politely as always. Dr. Sandburn, how are you?
I am very well. For those who don't know, Smiling Politely was my band back in Australia. How he's worked that out, I don't know. It's kind of disturbing, the access you have.
I do a lot of research, Duncan. I do a lot of... Anyway, you recently, congratulations on the new cat.
Oh,
how is it going?
I hate cats. I always have hated cats. The new cat's doing nothing to affirm change my love or hatred towards the particular feline species. They're just annoying, and kittens are even worse. They're just like kids with arrogance added in an extra dose.
So, for those of you who have been asking whether we're doing another competition and what is the prize, I think we all know. Comment below #shitcat and we'll pick a winner.
Is there a #win some pussy?
Hey! And finally, a man who has been giving me lifestyle advice all week, one of which included cut a golf ball sized hole in the bottom of a Pokemon plush and have fun. Chris Lee-Smith, how are you, good sir?
Good. You should give more context for that.
No, I quite like it the way it is. The way it is.
Oh, God. I'll leave it as it is.
Massages
It's funny.
and Pokemon. That's all we need.
It's funny, but I'll leave it as it is. I won't go into context. I've had a bit of a roller coaster the last couple of weeks. Literally from our last episode, I came down really ill. And the rest of the family got COVID. And yet again, I didn't, but had very cold-like symptoms. So yeah, and then I went through a bit of a low point getting over it, and now the kids go back to school tomorrow, so I'm happy as anything.
Chris, just a little bit of advice for you. You might not have heard this. You know, when it comes to the lateral flow tests that we used to do for COVID, everybody was doing it. If you don't feel as though you're putting it up your nose far enough to get a proper diagnosis, you can always put it up your bum. That's a true fact.
I'm not falling for that, Martin.
Ian?
I am not falling and putting a lateral flow up my arse to get a reading.
You'd have to take the massager out first.
Don't blame me, mate. Blame the doctors. That's all I'm saying.
The doctors told you this?
Yeah. Well, not
Did he
directly.
show you?
Is your doctor on a bus in a trench coat by any chance?
Did the doctor have to pin you down while he was...
No, it was totally voluntary.
Was he wearing a gimp mask? Just asking.
What's the difference between an oral thermometer and an anal thermometer?
Don't know.
The taste. And on that note, let's move on to our regularly reoccurring segment. See you next Tuesday, where we put the cat amongst the pigeons, and even the cat goes, no. I will go first, gentlemen. Are we ready? One of your loved ones is kidnapped, and you receive a phone call. However, unlike Liam Neeson, you have no skills. The only way to have your loved one returned to you is to break a world record. What world record do you think you can break?
The number of pegs I can attach to my beard.
There's no way. Pegs. There's got to be a guy with a massive beard that's already tried the pegs.
I agree.
My turn, and I would say eating chocolate bar, some sort of eating contest, and I will smash it easy.
He won't take his meds.
I will skip my meds for the day, and I will eat the food, the plate,
Down to
the table,
McDonald's, everything off the menu.
and after I'm finished, I'll ask, "Where's the rest?" and I will do it.
There we go. Chris Lee Smith is clearly going to go for the world record for frazzles.
Frazzles are amazing. They are amazing, though, to be fair. If I'm going to go for a world record, go for frazzles.
Dr. Casman, let's assume the beard thing isn't going to work out well for you. What's your second option?
There's so many ridiculously stupid world records that you just think, well, like that whole thing is, if you want to break the world record, just grow a bigger beard.
How's your hand-eye coordination? Because I know there's one where you can eat baked beans or grapes or something like that.
From that perspective, I'm blind in my left eye. My three-dimensional vision's not great, but I'm sure I could manage the baked bean thing. Well, I had a group of friends who actually did get, but it wasn't officiated properly. It was the world record for a cricket match, which was only something like 24 hours of continuous cricket. It's like, really? That's a record? There's so many stupid records out there. I'm sure I'd find one that I could manage to nail fairly simply.
And I'm so scared to ask this. Martin, what are we deep frying? Do
you know what? Before I tell you what I was thinking about in terms of my own record, talking about deep frying stuff. Okay, the Scottish are well known for deep frying everything. Do you know, the first time I tried a deep fried Mars bar, I was actually in Australia, Duncan. I was, because when I was in a place called Adelaide living. And the guy was Scottish, who was the chip shop owner, and he's like, "Do you want a deep fried Mars bar?" I don't know why I went more Scottish, because I'm Scottish.
That sounded like a Scot trying to sound Australian, trying to sound Scottish.
It was him that. So I had to go to the other side of the world, completely the opposite side of the world for Scotland, before I had a deep fried Mars bar. And it's actually quite nice, bit sickly, but hey, that's my review of that. Records wise, because I don't like sleeping. Do you know that? I don't sleep very much. I don't sleep well. But so I'd try and stay awake for the longest. Or it would need to be like Chris, something to do with eating. I love crisps. So I'd like a record where I could eat as many packets of crisps as I could. And if I was to pick, a crisp, it would need to be like a solid McCoy's sort of crisp. Like a proper Ridge crisps. Those ones that you can proper bite into.
Surely if you're going for a record, you want to go thinner because you'll get more.
I think for me, if I saw somebody eating a really thin crisp and the record was broken, because I'm judgy anyway, I'd be like, nah mate, that's really shit, you've kind of cheated there. Whereas if you do it with a proper crisp, even if you don't manage it, you've still got that thing where people went, well, he did it with McCoy's, so, fair play to the guy. So it's a win-win.
Oh, well, my record quiz is inspired by you. I want to see how many plushies I can strike before I'm asked to leave Hamleys.
That's awesome. I don't know if there's a record, so you'd beat it anyway. Yeah.
Aim low, achieve high. Boom.
In the time period of the last 2 months, you gain £1 for every time you've checked out another woman. How much extra weight do you gain?
She's been away for 2 weeks. So... yeah, let's do the math here. I'm not worried about it, because as we'll learn later, obesity, not really a thing. If it's the same woman more than once, is that £1 or is that...
No, it's every individual woman, you gain £1.
I think what he's asking is if I'm checking out the same woman twice, does
Yeah,
that mean £2?
No. No, you can't look at a woman, check her out, sneeze, and then look back at her and you've got £2 extra. No.
Well, if it's 2 days in a row and she happens to be at the same bus stop.
You can admit to that, but be very careful, okay?
What happens if you see her in the coffee shop on the Monday and then you go to the same coffee shop on the Tuesday and you see her
That's
again?
what I'm getting at. Is that you're now checking her out twice? Is that only £1 because it's the same woman?
One woman, £1. Seen her
Oh,
100 times
thank God.
for
Okay.
one pound.
Okay. And if I check out a guy, do I lose £1?
No.
Oh, damn it.
Do you lose the £1 if she checks you out back?
No.
So based upon those rules, it's only £2.
£2, that's good going, mate. Well done.
I know,
So over
I
a 2-month period, just 2 women you've checked.
Hang on, before Adam finalises his answer, does this include pornography?
No.
Oh, he's safe.
I know.
Yeah, £2, baby. So Daddy said no. So Daddy said no.
I want him to see him gain a few pounds, not be completely obese and the biggest guy on
Obese,
the
he's
planet.
not-
So, okay, let's go on to Martin.
I'm not sure. It depends. I'm convinced that my missus is watching me at all times. At all times. This is when it comes to that sort of subject matter, I treat myself like a target. Like my missus has got eyes on me all the time and I've got to be on my best behaviour. So I'd say, with that, probably about £20.
No, this is being recorded.
I know it's been recorded.
Ooh, I hope it was the Grumpy Gits.
I mean, it depends, doesn't it? There's so many scenarios that come into your head. Like, I bet there's scenarios where you're checking out someone and you don't even realise you're doing it.
No, I
You're
was
just
acutely
like,
aware.
No,
Yeah.
I'm usually
Like,
in
it's
control of my eyes. What I'm looking
That
at.
sounds
Yeah, but
like
no.
something you're presenting to a judge. Sometimes you just don't realise you're on it.
When,
You see a
when I
bitch,
shut
suck a
down,
bitch. Come on!
when I shut down a bugger alarm to check her out, you're on and I might be actually looking at it. But what I'm saying is, do you not use your peripheral vision?
That still falls under the category, because if you're aware and you want to check someone out and you're using your peripheral vision, that is still checking them out.
Does Facebook stalking count?
No.
That's something else completely. I think you should get like £5 added for each time you do that.
Scary insight
to
into
me,
the rest of
asking
the
for a friend.
guys.
All I'm trying to do is get you into a little bit of trouble, not end your relationships, okay? So just remember that. Not porn, not Facebook stalking or Insta, just the people you see out on the street or in your workplace, whatever.
I'm
Checked
actually
out
sweating.
20 girls in 2 months. It's probably not going well already.
I'm actually sweating right now. I'm actually like sweating beads a wee bit right now because I think my missus knows.
That's not sunburn, that's just pure fear.
Feel, mate. I can't feel my legs that well, but they're shaking.
I need to do like one of my due diligence here and do like sort of like our psych assess. Right, now, do you need help? If you need help, blink twice so we can get you out of there.
Yeah, exactly.
Rather than giving an exact answer, how about you go in between kind of 2 numbers?
Yeah, 2 and 0.
You
I
said
think-
20
I think you said
before,
it.
so how the fuck have we got to 2 and 0? Oh,
that
somewhere
a-
between 1 and 50 million? I don't know.
2 and 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. It keeps on going up.
Duncan, what's your answer for this one?
It depends on the time of year and how many tourists are around. I could get in a lot of trouble here. But then the grockles come during summer and the beaches fill up. That could be a danger time. But I'm kind of like Martin. And my wife has got like a sixth sense. If there's even my eyes start to lift, even if she's not there, I'll get a text. You all right? Yeah, love you. Good. Yeah, love you too. Yeah, like instant guilt. Like, whoa, I can't.
You want to go between 2 numbers as well to protect yourself, or
Yeah, 3 probably. Yeah,
just 3? £3?
yeah. I think.
You-
Yeah.
You animal. You animal.
Oh, yeah.
You're disgusting.
for
You're
it.
the
Oh,
highest.
You make me sick, Duncan. It's people like you. It's people like you that give us men a bad name, you know. It's people like you.
The Australian Andrew Tate. Just awful. My number is more than the number of original Power Rangers, but less than the number of extras in the Lord of the Rings trilogy.
Well, boys, we're entering into the new era of having a king. 3 honours are released, and a Grumpy Git is on them. Why are they on them, and why are they likely to lose it very quickly?
Here we go. Let's kick the shit out of me some more, shall we?
Adam, why are you getting so defensive? What's wrong with you, man? You're just immediately on the back foot there. You're putting yourself right in the defensive line there, mate.
We all know it's me, because he's a mate of mine. But we also know I'm going to do or say something ridiculous, like get banned from Hamleys.
Yeah, record-breaking attempt that didn't need to be broken. And that's how you lose it. I think that's my answer.
See, I think Chris we'd be the first to lose it. I think your meds will wear off and you'd tweet something, and the next morning you'd be trying to delete it, but it'd be too late.
I would not do that. I would double down. I would never admit I'm wrong, and then I'd lose it still. I would not admit I'm wrong.
You'd definitely say something that would get you a letter. I have a good friend.
Yeah.
Who's a pro wrestler. He's British, and he was like, his character gimmick was like he's like a British aristocrat. And they did this skit where the interviewer goes, "Oh, Stephen."
You can change his name away, didn't you?
Insert name here. Rumours circulating that Sarah Ferguson is in town, and that you spent the night with her. And he goes, "The rumours are true, and let me tell you, it was like falling into a ripped-out fireplace."
Oh my god.
He got a letter from, and these are his words, not mine, about as high up as you can go in that family.
I need to pick Adam. I think it needs to be Adam, and I think you would get your OBE for services to get being with good-looking women on screen would be like your whole thing. Right, that would be like services to being an absolute hero.
Services to punching above your weight.
Yeah, man, services to totally punching.
No one has done more to raise the dating standards of disabled men than I have.
At the same time, right, we know what Chris was suggesting earlier on, what you should do with Pokemon when it comes to holes. I mean, exactly, mate. Exactly.
You see how his mouth is suspiciously open?
That's been requested. That's not how it comes.
That's an alteration made at home, isn't it?
Where's the line between inspiration porn and actual porn?
Have you guys heard about these public warning alerts that we're going to be getting on my phone, and it's supposed to help us with sort of disasters, isn't it? So it's like, take us back to the Second World War when the siren used to go off and you had to go in a bunker, right? Or there's severe flooding or extreme weather. The other news story, so I'm going to tie in another news story with it, is that people got stuck at the top of the roller coaster at Blackpool Beach. So here's the scenario here. Would you rather, let's say all our phones went off at the same time for this public warning alert, right? And we're all together. And the rules are that whoever you're together with, you have to spend, 30 days, let's say, in the bunker with each other. Would you rather spend 30 days in a bunker with the Grumpy Gits, or would you rather be stuck up on top of a roller coaster for a couple of hours with the Grumpy Gits?
I don't want to wind up like some kind of fucking Chilean miner, where I come out from a bunker after a month, and my girlfriend's there to meet me, and my other girlfriend is also there to meet me, and then I've got to somehow apologise, yet still try and angle for a threesome at the same time. So I'm going to take the roller coaster.
Adam's already openly admitted. You stick him in a room.
If you put me in a room with anything within the first 2 weeks, I'll probably try.
And we're over 4 weeks, and he's going to be going like a chihuahua at all three of us. Is there somewhere to take a shit in private? Because I don't really want to be making eye contact with any of you.
Whilst you're dropping your breakfast.
I don't want to lock eyes.
This is like a shared prison cell type thing.
So we're going to be smelling
in the middle of the room.
Smelling the shit for stick me on the roller coaster. I want my privacy, and I want it to smell nice. I'm not going to.
The toilet in nuclear bonkers asking for a...
Yeah.
The first thing that comes up is, yes, it is possible to have a toilet in the game Fallout.
Is the next one pick a corner?
And what about you, Duncan? We're coming to you now. What is it? I mean, because I'm going to be honest, for me, I would be absolutely petrified being on top of a roller coaster.
That wouldn't faze me because you sort of... I hate heights, but if I'm strapped in something, I'm fine. Like I climbed the Harbour Bridge and did the whole thing over it, but because you're kind of connected, it doesn't have the same sort of fear as if you're standing on the edge of a cliff and it's like a stiff breeze can knock you off. I'd have to go the roller coaster. It's a couple of hours, whereas like 30 days in a close proximity with 3 other blokes, it's just going to get tense regardless.
What do you think? What do you think would be the main causes for concern? If us four were stuck in a confined space for 30 days because there was like a warning alert happening, right? We didn't have a choice. What's the main thing that comes to your mind when you go, nah, fuck that, I wouldn't do that?
Oh, well, I mean, look at that Pokemon behind Adam with his mouth wide open. That's the kind of look on an expression, like, again, facing court. Well, Your Honour, he touched me here. That's Adam, you know. It's that terrifying thing of you just got to backs to the wall at all times because you know after some period of time he's just going to turn into this rabid animal.
You don't sleep with your mouth open, do you?
I have a CPAP. I have the...
Yeah, that's not in there. You didn't have time to grab that.
That probably gets sleep. Yeah, exactly. Mouth open. Just asking for trouble. See,
I don't want that intimacy. I'm sorry, I can't deal with it.
Chris needs space, and I know this from having, you know, when we've had Grumpy Gits time away. He needs to go off to his room and just have a break from everyone. If he doesn't have that opportunity, it's going to be fucking hell for everybody, and you're just going to see the veins will start appearing. He's just going to get madder.
Oh, actually, no. Last time I was all right when I was on meds.
Up to 8 p.m.
8 p.m. I'm in bed.
Are you going to have your meds? Are you going to have time to go home and pick them up? If I haven't got my CPAP, you don't have your fucking meds.
What's your biggest worry about being confined to a room with the other guys?
Eventually, there's just going to be a massive pile of poo.
I mean,
like
I think
the fact that Chris's main concern about dysentery is eye contact.
No, I said the smell of shit as well.
After a month is insane. I'm concerned that I'll be murdered by someone because I'll be like, oh, it's a bit tense. Let's tell a joke to lighten the mood.
Yeah,
and eventually you'll all get really annoyed at it and kill me. One of you will secretly record it and then play it to the press afterwards, and I will finally get the cancellation that I'm sure I am due.
And that's how he lost his knighthood.
Now for one of our Grumpy Gits interviews, and she is back. She essentially works here now. We sat down with the amazingly funny Eva Abley, who, spoiler alert, is going to be performing at the Disability Expo on the 6th and 7th of July. Duncan, how'd it go?
She is just amazing. And what I really love about her is she's very open about things as well. You think everything's been rosy because she's just going from strength to strength, but she's actually had some struggles in there, and she was really open talking about not only the great things that are happening, but how that's impacting her as well. So yeah, we'll hand over to that now.
So take it away in 3, 2, 1. Oh, Duncan.
Thanks, Adam. And yes, we are here again with the fantastic Eva Abley. Eva, how are you?
Hi, I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Oh, not too bad, yeah. You have had an incredible, since we last interviewed you, your career has gone skyrocketing. What's been happening? Tell us a bit about what's been going on.
You can't believe it. Been doing lots of performing, lots of opportunities have came up.
The ball. What was involved with Eva's ball?
Well, the ball itself was actually filmed for TV, and it was a ball to raise money for Birmingham's Children's Hospital. So my BGT friends came and helped me perform, and altogether we raised over £15,000.
That's incredible. That really is. Can I ask though? Because I watched the previous interview you did on the show. It was your first performance, your live performance on Britain's Got Talent. Because you've done so much more since then. Is
Yeah.
that something you've got used to now? Are the nerves not as bad, or do you kind of know what to expect? How's it been?
I have never had any nerves before.
Really? It didn't affect you?
You got to go on and wing it.
I think with stand up, that's true, isn't it? You never know
Yeah.
quite. There's no. It's not like you're performing a song where you know where the start is, you know where the finish is, and your solo in the middle or whatever. When you're performing stand up, you've got to just roll with the
Yeah,
crowd, and
you don't really know what to expect from the audience. Every different audience reacts differently, so we're not like I can just be at home in front of my parents and perform it, because they laugh at different bits other people laugh at. So it is literally, I don't know what's going to happen, but let's give it a shot.
have you had to deal with any hecklers yet?
Not yet.
Good. Let's hope that doesn't
Yeah.
happen. Although I get the feeling anybody on the receiving end of a heckle from you is going to regret heckling.
Definitely.
And with a dedicated fan base as well, I wouldn't like to be the heckler in that crowd. You know, to go to that. You've also signed up to be part of the Disability Expo that's happening in July. What attracted you to take part and be a part of this?
I never really been a part of like a big community like that, and I never actually knew there was a community like that. So after lots of searching Instagram and Facebook in, we found Disability Expo, messaged them, and I was like, oh my God, I never knew this was a thing.
I call it Hogwarts, that whole community, because it's like it's this invisible world no one knows exists until you suddenly stumble upon it.
Yeah, but
Oh,
when you do look at it, you just can't believe it's out there. And the Excel where it's been held is so big.
it's daunting, isn't it?
Yeah. Anyway, I got 2 nights away from my brothers for it.
It's always
Glass
worth
half full.
So it would be peaceful in the hotel too.
What's your hotel routine? Have you got like I got to go for the bath, I've got to have a chill out, sit down, make sure the TV's working? What do you do when you get in?
Stayed in lots of hotels, BGT, because we were all staying, all the acts were staying in the Novotel together, and we had a big party every night,
Wicked.
Wow. Okay.
which is amazing. But yeah, really like breakfast. Not going to lie, but
You and
With
my
you-
wife will get on famously.
I said to them last time, I said, like, oh, go on, am I allowed a Prosecco? Come on, let me have a Prosecco. And they were like, no, Eva, you can't. But I'm like, well, I already slur my words. And no.
what difference is it going to make? Apart from the law.
The slight legal aspect.
There is
and
that.
you're an
Yeah.
ambassador for young people now. You can't be.
Yeah, lead by example. With this stardom, it's kind of been thrust upon you. Have your priorities changed, and do you manage your time and your efforts in a different way because obviously it's become more important?
Well, all my life I've been like families first, and I'm still like loving my comedy. So I love it when my whole family is able to come with us. But I think doing comedy gives you something positive to focus on and something to look forward to.
So it's something you can really shift your focus to. I love
Yeah.
it. I wanted to ask you, when we spoke before, you talked about how hard school had been and being, I guess, socially isolated because people didn't give you the time necessary. Has that changed? Is that something that has developed now into anything? Or
I think because obviously I had no friends at school. I came out of school to be homeschooled. I'm not in the position now to make any friends.
that must be hard.
Yeah, where like I'm surrounded by adults, and I got a lot of adults friends with all the comedy I do and that. But it just, yeah, you're not surrounded by people your own age. But I am hoping to set up a friendship group.
Wicked. So this is
Yeah,
what I love about you, Eva, because you don't ever sit back and go, right, well, this is just the way it is, and I have to wallow. You look for solutions. I think it's a real testament to your character. So what's
yeah.
this going to involve?
Well, I've been looking online for ages, and there's nowhere round my area anyway that's a group of my age that it's just different activities, because like for me I can't join a performing arts group because I can't sing or dance without having CP, and they don't accept me then in their group. And I know a lot of people who are in the same position. There have been who I met like over Instagram and stuff. There have been setting up a base where we can all meet once a week and do a different activity. Everyone can take part in. So it's not just for disabilities, but if someone disabled does come, they can take part too.
So
I
it's
love
fully
that.
inclusive.
That's amazing. That really is truly amazing. Obviously, you mentioned about those difficulties in school, and you know that was a tough watch for me, watching that back. And obviously, is something that I've always had an eye on because of my son who's autistic. Has anybody come out of the woodwork that you went to school with and has suddenly gone, oh, maybe I should have made friends with her. Maybe I'll message her now and say that I'm about.
That's a really hard question. I have had messages of a few people, but they're like, yeah, I don't really know how to say it.
Does their answer start with, I don't know if you remember me, but
Yeah.
is it a lot along those lines? Yeah.
Like, of course I remember you. How can I forget?
It's so hard, isn't it? Because I had similar situations for myself. I was always bullied at school and stuff like that, and then you get people later on in life start coming back in and hey, it's like, you know, the bullying never happened, and you're like, well, no, screw you. This is.
Yeah, I always think that you got to be the better person, be nice back, don't get into a conversation with them, just say thank you, and that's it.
So mature. So much better
Cut
than
them off
me.
at the coattails. Thank you. I never want to speak to you again. I'm assuming that since the show and everything you've done, you've got kind of a lorry load of well-wishers. I'm assuming you get kind of fan mail and everything else. Is there anything that you've received that's kind of really struck a chord with you?
Other than mayonnaise.
Maybe I'm missing a joke here.
PGT gave her a big pot of mayonnaise.
Well, that's a clip I never saw. So
yeah.
Because I don't like people sending me stuff, so I don't have that set up at all. But messages, I've had really lovely messages, really nice messages from all over the world.
It's amazing, isn't it? Because people forget that it's not Britain's Got Talent doesn't just open a door in the UK. It gets seen all over the world, and people all over the world start paying attention. What's that been like? Has that been kind of wow, or is it scary at all, or is it just I'm getting on with it and I'm loving it?
Obviously, they're amazing. Wow. Oh my God. People from New York are watching me, people from Barcelona. Wow. But like everybody knows, yeah. So we recently went to a holiday to Cyprus, and we went to the water park there, and I went up with my mum to get something from the bar. The lady who didn't speak English managed to say to me, "You're off BGT on." Yeah.
Wow.
So I'm shocked.
you know you've made it if someone who doesn't speak English knows who you are.
Yeah.
That must be so surreal, though. Being like, I have no idea who these people are. I've never met them. They know who I am. They can't speak my language, but still they're communicating with me in this.
Can't believe it.
How have your parents dealt with? Because obviously, you've dealt with it very well, but surely how they've kind of lived their lives it must have changed also. How are they adjusted to kind of your popularity?
Oh, they've been absolutely amazing, so supportive because I've still had my down days. I still have to go to hospital. So for my parents, they see the two sides to me, whereas social media doesn't justify what me and my parents go through. But the boys, as well, I have three brothers, they just, they love it. They love meeting all the people I get to meet.
I'm actually surprised at that, because if it was my siblings, they literally would have been trying to sabotage my career. They would have been cutting the microphone wire, anything they could do just to stop me doing what I'm doing. But yeah, obviously we've got a different family.
But with that, you have met some amazing people. I mean, when we last spoke, you were talking about people that you really look up to, and the two I remember were Lost Voice Guy and Rosie Jones, and you've worked with them both now.
I got to show you this.
Oh!
Wow.
Oh god. Yeah, so Lee, the Lost Voice Guy, has become a very good friend of mine. He came to the charity ball, and I recently won Pride of Birmingham. I just want to say congratulations on getting the Pride of Birmingham award. Of course you deserve it, and what you're doing is incredible. And he brought out my award to me.
Oh, that's awesome.
That is brilliant.
How did it feel to get that, the Pride of Birmingham?
Like, unbelievable. I think the thing, like, I can't figure out is I don't know who's nominated me.
I dare say you had more than a couple of nominations.
Yeah, when you have fans, sometimes it happens. I think you get nominated without your knowledge. But
you get the feeling half of Birmingham are watching this going, that was me. Oh, wait. I wanted to say, you talked very quickly there about you still have your down days, and you have the days that you've got hospital and you've got things you've got to do. How do you balance that with what your career is? I remember hearing Billy Connolly say that it's very different to any other career being a comedian, because you've got to hear that your mother's ill and in hospital, and you've got to go out and be funny still. How do you deal with that?
The last couple of weeks, I've been very struggling with depression and lots of different stuff. But going on stage, it just making other people laugh makes me laugh. Yeah.
It's almost a medicine in itself, isn't it? Doing that. I like that.
It's just that positive attitude you have. It comes through in every way, and that's when you know it's genuine. You always fall back on this kind of, there's this side of it, but here's the positive, and this is how I make the best of it, which I think is just remarkable. Let's say testament to it.
I'm just blown away with how grounded she is.
Yeah, she makes us look like infants.
Yeah, I know. We were guests of honor of one show, and we were walking around like we were, Hollywood.
We were strutting the whole lot. Yeah.
I say.
Everywhere I went,
three of us were quite grounded. There was one that in particular lost his head a little bit, but I just want to say, you're absolutely amazing, Eva. Everything you've done, everything you've handled, your family around you. It's a testament to see a young person. It's reignited my faith in the next generation coming through. So it's absolutely amazing.
Thank you so much.
No, thank you, Eva. It's always an absolute pleasure to speak to you. Eva will be joining us at the Disability Expo in July. The tickets are free. You can get them online. So we'll put links up in the description. You'll be able to sign up and come and see Eva, who will be is a show ambassador, but is also going to be performing live at the show, which will be fantastic. And we can't wait to meet finally face to face. That'll be amazing. Thank you so much for joining us, Eva.
Thank you.
We'll head back to the main podcast now. So back over to you, Adam.
And welcome back to us in the present day. Great interview. Always a pleasure to have Eva on the podcast. And like I said, you can see her and us on the centre stage at Disability Expo on the 6th and 7th of July. More about that at the end of the show. Now, gentlemen, something to discuss. But I really want to get your thoughts on it, because I've been down a rabbit hole with this, and I've been like angry, frustrated, and then I came round to a little bit sympathetic, and I think I know where I stand on it, but I'm also a little bit not entirely sure at the same token. So this is Dr. Asha Lamy, also known as the Fat Doctor, who is, it seems, part of the obesity acceptance movement, healthier any size. There are two things to, at least to me, to bring out here. Everyone, irrespective of their body type and body size, deserves the respect and the dignity to feel comfortable in their own skin. Absolutely could not agree more. Obesity is heavily stigmatised, both societally and medically, and we also need to put less pressure on mainly women and young people to conform to unrealistic beauty standards. Absolutely could not agree more. Where I am now struggling with them, however, is this idea of obesity isn't a real thing. It's a myth cooked up by the health and fitness industry, and that there's no real evidence to show that if you're obese, you're more likely to have fat around your organs, or it puts you at a higher risk of having certain health conditions. I think those things are, for anyone to say, are dangerous and ridiculous. But for a doctor to say, I think is reckless and negligent. And even if you look on her website, there's a disclaimer that says that the things she's saying on her website aren't being said in her capacity as a doctor, which for me is a real red flag. Duncan, we had a little bit of back and forth. Where do you stand on the Fat Doctor?
It's really hit me, actually. So I'm a big bloke. I always have been. So I was bullied mercilessly at school because I was always a bigger kid. I've lost a lot of weight over the last 5 years or so. This really hit me in that this is actually something that's affecting us in our home at the moment. My daughter, who isn't big, paranoid about her weight at the moment. I had to sit with her last night and explain to her, you're beautiful as you are. You don't need to worry about that stuff. Where this doctor came in, there were some things that really resonated with me, because she talks about the fact that we put these things on kids, and we've got Instagram and we've got Snapchat and we've got, things that my daughter doesn't even have at this point. The internet is out there, and the stereotype of what is supposed to be attractive is unhealthy now. Women scientifically are supposed to have 25% body fat, but we it's 5% is the beauty norm that we're being presented with. And if any woman doesn't meet up to that, then they're no longer attractive. And that's how my daughter's seeing herself. She doesn't have Snapchat and Instagram and Facebook and stuff like that. I tried to keep her away from that side of things, and yet still this is affecting issues with eating disorders. It's causing people to have issues with self-image and self-esteem and anxiety and depression and all these things, and it is horrible. And it's when it's your own kid. I never expected to experience seeing my daughter feel that way about herself. So when the Fat Doctor was saying this stuff, that resonated. If her point is that we need to stop being so hung up on body shape and body size, to making it such a thing where it is a target. And it's one of the few isms out there. I think fatism is something that is still widely accepted. But that said, the things that she was saying, they're so wrong. Like I have type 2 diabetes. Why do I have type 2 diabetes? Because I have a big stomach. My organs are under pressure. My pancreas are under pressure. They don't produce enough insulin to provide for my body. Therefore, I click into diabetic type 2 diabetes.
Completely don't discount what you said, Duncan, and absolutely I feel for you. And in fact, on a lesser level with my kids, they are starting to see things and see boys that are bigger and stronger. And in my younger son, who's not quite as lean as his older brother, he's starting to get those kind of being unconfident with his body shape. But what I wanted to steer this conversation towards, something that's never done, is that guys our age, how does it affect us? We hear it all the time with children, we hear it all the time with women, but never has it ever been discussed as middle-aged guys. How does the beauty industry affect us? Straight away, subconsciously, doesn't affect me. I don't care. I don't give a shit what I look like. But that question played on my mind, and I knew I was lying, but it made me feel good to, macho, don't give a fuck. And then eventually I was honest with myself, and I realised, you know what, it does affect me. So I wanted your guys' opinion. How does it affect you guys?
My initial thoughts on it, I'm just having a look. It says on that doctor's sort of bio for Twitter, Britain's most outrageous doctor. That's what I'll say as an opening gambit, because for me, if you're going to say that about yourself, you know what you're doing. But that Piers Morgan effect, I think, where you'll kind of challenge the status quo just because. As a disabled person, as somebody who's got cerebral palsy, who's in a wheelchair, I feel like the older I'm getting, the more health conscious, or the more I'm becoming aware of how I look. Cerebral palsy makes you look, there's no two people in the world with the same sort of cerebral palsy. For me, my legs are skinny and my body's big like a pigeon. So I describe it. But actually, the weight thing, because I played basketball before, I was always quite healthy and fit and whatever in terms of what the norm or what is perceived to be a strong, healthy body. But since I hit my 30s, like if I eat a chocolate cake, it sits on me for like a month. And I feel like there's more pressure on us now to look a certain way. And I think a lot of that is because of the way that social media, when we see these people on their 30-minute Instagram videos and they all look great, you've got shows like Love Island, all these contestants going and they've all got six-packs and they all look great and they're all successful outside of this villa that they're living in Spain. It's not real, it doesn't really exist. In the same token, like I see a lot of my mates, I've got mates who actually suit being heavier. I've had mates that have tried to lose weight and it makes them look worse. Some people, I think, just suit a little bit of chubbiness. I've got a mate who can run, who's a really, really big guy, and he can run the 100 metres faster than what you would perceive anybody else who looks like an athlete, whatever you think that is.
What about you, Adam?
I think it's important to ask ourselves why we do the things we do and why we have the behaviours we do. I take quite good care of myself. I exercise a lot, I hit the gym, I practice a lot of very high level mental well-being things. I always say, as long as I'm doing it for me and I'm not doing it because I'm trying to keep up with the Joneses, then I'm good. I'm quite impervious to peer pressure or outside influence. Because I've studied business, so I know what I'm looking for and I know how it all works. So I've got sort of like a heightened awareness to it. But also because of my condition and having looked different and been outside of that bubble all my life, I genuinely don't care. And when I do catch myself caring, I can normally snap out of it really, really quickly. So, and I hang around through work with a lot of pro wrestlers and strength athletes. So it could be really easy for me to get like a weird Adonis complex. I eat like they do. Martin, Chris and Duncan can verify I put food away. But I'm also acutely aware that I've got to really like put the work in and do like 5k a day on foot, whether that's running at the gym or just walking about and doing stuff. But no, I think I do quite well. I think I've got like a very good relationship with my body and my image. It's why I encourage other young people to do the same.
Duncan, I know you briefly touched on yourself
I did not touch myself.
No, you didn't. But is there anything deeper personally?
I mean, this has been my life story because I have, as I said before, I've always been bigger. I've lost a lot of weight.
So, sorry, could I ask a question? Just sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
With how much weight you've lost, how much was that attributed to sort of societal pressures and how to look, and how much was down to your health?
I'll give a brief history in as compact a form as I can. I have a condition called autoimmune thyroiditis where my immune system attacks my thyroid, which means my thyroid doesn't work, means my metabolism doesn't kick in, which means that for a long time, this was only diagnosed, in the last 10 years. For the first 40 years of my life, I was just putting on weight because I couldn't get rid of it. And I'd go on one diet after another. My dad, bless him, love him to pieces, but he used to go on about my weight. So I used to have it at home, constantly being put on diets, being put on one thing or another to try and help me lose weight. School is just a vicious, pecking order establishment, especially back then where they didn't have zero tolerance bullying policies and stuff, and you just used to have to cop it. And I remember having a conversation with a friend where I'd said to him, I just wish one day I could wake up and I was slim. The irony is that conversation led to him coming out to me and saying, I feel the same way because actually I'm gay. It was a really interesting conversation, but he identified with that thing of wishing you were somebody else just so you could fit in with everybody else. I remember a conversation I had when I was in a band. One of the other members of the band and his girlfriend, and she struggled with her weight, and they were talking about it. And this is where what you talk about with the whole men thing. She was saying, I just, I hate the way everyone looks at me and I feel this. And everyone was like, absolutely. And, it's wrong. And there was a real sympathy towards her. And I said, I feel the same way. I feel it's the first thing I judge. And the first thing was her boyfriend just looked at me and said, well, yeah, but your weight's really unhealthy, Duncan. You need to lose weight. Because I'm a bloke, that was acceptable. Whereas if you'd said it to her, that would have been crushing. I feel it all the time. I constantly, I hate it, but I can't help it. I'll check my profile. How big's my stomach today? How do I feel about it? And all it takes is someone to say something small. I won't say who it was, but we met up with some friends, and the guy said to me, gee, you hide your belly roll, don't you? Laugh it off at the time, but it crushed me. It's all I could think about for a week.
Do you think there's a fear there, and this is why guys don't talk about this? Like I said, when the question came into my mind, my first toxic masculine answer was, I don't give a fuck what I look like. Do you think the reason why the fear is there and why it's almost ingrained in us is that because of how guys are, and I've certainly been like this with mates and everything, and we take the piss out of each other and we banter, but if you give a indication of something that kind of bothers you, your mates, as banter, will jump on it knowing they will get a rise out of you. Do you think that plays a part on why we don't speak about this sort of thing?
I think it does. I think there's a point where banter's fine and we can have a rib at each other, and I would be annoyed if people weren't taking the piss out of me at some level, because I think for guys it's actually a sign of affection.
Yeah.
I think there's something in blokes that you can take the piss out of somebody and it's just, I couldn't say this if you were my mate, and we can have a joke and I don't really mean it. But there's a fine line where the banter can cross into a sense of bullying. And it's a hard one because it's just how guys relate. But there's a point where you have to be able to sit back and go, I think I went too far, and have that conversation. I do it myself. It's something from my own fears. If I fear I've gone too far, did I say something wrong, I'll make sure I touch base with that person and say, look, I feel like I pushed it too far and I'm really sorry, it wasn't meant. There's this really fine line. But as blokes, we're supposed to be the alpha male. It's why dickheads like Andrew Tate take over the internet. It's because it's what's, everyone's aspiring to this guy. Don't have to give a fuck, and I'm in control, and I'm just, I love Ryan Reynolds. I think he's brilliant. I think he's funny. I'd kill to look like him. He's just, it seems like a genuinely good bloke. But would he be where he is in his career if he looked like me?
Good point.
Probably not.
Yeah. I think also there's a part, like it goes a little, when you were talking about crossing the line and stuff, I think for me growing up in the sort of late 80s, early 90s when I was younger in Glasgow, what it felt like is that men didn't need to worry about this stuff because it was never something that men cared about. And actually, I don't know whether it's social media, whether it's because actually since that time the playing field's more level now, if you know what I mean, in terms of status and in terms of what women can do and what men can do. It's not like, oh, the women stay at home and they cook and and the man goes out to work, he provides. It's very different now, the world that we live in, and because of that, even things like, I know that weight's the big thing for this, but it happens with everything now. Like when I was growing up, I never seen men using moisturisers in their face, and I never seen, do you know what I'm saying? Like something as small as that, like just in terms of how you appear and how you look, I feel like this is something.
When I was a teenager, the idea that there would be men's moisturising products available was laughable.
And I feel like it's a new thing. I feel like this is a new problem that we're dealing with, and that's why maybe it's not being spoken about. You say like you have banter with your mates, whenever I've heard women talk about conversations with other women, it's been, they talk openly about everything and they discuss it and they analyse it and they get it out. Whereas, like you were saying before, Chris, and like you were saying as well, Duncan, about your sort of the conversations that you've had with people, like, oh, you hide your belly well, or it's a little bit of banter. We don't talk in the same way, so these things never get out.
I think it's admitting that actually that hurt me. Guys don't do that. You can go through and no one will even think about it. And it wasn't meant offensively. It was banter. It wasn't meant something that meant anything. But for me, because what I see is the guy I was 7 years ago who was 200 plus kilos and, would be dead today had I not done something about it.
Adam, do you think escalation is an issue when it comes to men? Say with that guy, obviously he hit on a very touchable subject for Duncan, and it was emotional for him. Do you think escalation plays a part? I don't know about you, but I've certainly been in a group of lads where one person's taking the piss out of another, and in a group of lads you cannot show any pain or weakness, and usually it ends up hitting back harder verbally. Is that something that you've experienced?
Yeah, but I can normally put my foot down, and there are two ways I tend to deal with it. I've got no problem saying, alright, steady on lads, we've gone a little bit too far on this one. Whether or not it's just they've gone too far that day, because I'm a little bit tired and a bit fragile, or whether they genuinely crossed the line. If it's like, for example, you guys banter away, but if one of your mates who I don't know is there that day and decides to join in, nope, not gonna happen.
But I want to say this because I've been in a situation with Adam where somebody made a comment, and obviously it's not weight related, but obviously Adam has to deal with his fair share of bigotry and arseholism that's out there. And we were out, and a woman made just a random remark. I won't bother repeating it and stuff like that, but we didn't quite get it, as she was still saying, we kind of, oh yeah, hey, she was drunk outside genuinely a church in Trafalgar or wherever it was we were, and we just went, yeah, whatever, yeah, nice to see you. And it wasn't until later on, like literally a couple of seconds, and Adam goes, I think I realised what she meant, and I was like, same, and I'm not, and I wanted to go back and say, right, listen, you, but he was like, no. And he has that restraint and the knowledge of when it's not worth pursuing. And his comment to me was, look, it's 5:30 in the afternoon and she's drunk outside a church in London. Who's winning here?
Perspective.
You pick and choose in that position what you're willing to do. And let's be honest, Duncan, you were explaining it earlier on, and so were you, Chris. Like when that guy said that to you about you hiding your stomach, well, I bet you there was a point in your thinking where you thought, I wish I had fucking said something back to him, and then you think about the things that you wish you had said, but you don't.
You kind of do, but I think back at that, and he would be gutted, I think, if he knew it had had that impact on me. He didn't mean it maliciously, and I want to make that absolutely clear. It was a throwaway comment, and it's almost a comment that he could make because we're good friends over time and all that kind of stuff. What it was my insecurity. For me at that point, it was just a bit raw, and I was doing everything I could to try and not be the person that it was the first thing that was seen. So I, if that person's watching, don't feel bad.
And could you also repeat his name and address?
Adam's got some videos he wants to send in.
But on the subject to that doctor, just to sort of bring it back round a wee bit, like I genuinely think that it's very, very dangerous, and she's a health professional as well. whenever I hear things like this, because I worked at Newsround with kids for years and years and years, where you're right, the focus was on child obesity and it is very high. The thing is that she kept on saying the word facts in the video and I'm like, I don't know if that's a fact or not. And whenever I hear these people, they're like, I'm a professional, I've done this. There's no other nurse in the world that I know of that's saying this at the moment, so what does she know that the rest of us don't?
Go onto a website, you won't find a thing. There's no rebuttal, there's no peer-reviewed experiments she's done, there's no papers, there's no nothing. It seems a bit wrong, but the way I view it, the way she's coming at it, and I do agree with a lot that she says, especially about going to the doctors and the stigma, and they see an overweight or an obese person over a treatment that's needed. But I can't help but look and feel like she's justifying herself and then wrapping it in things that are very, very difficult to disagree with.
She was on This Morning a couple of years ago preaching this. And 6 months before that, she'd written a blog. You can find it if you Google her name and losing weight the hard way. She spoke about her desire to lose weight and lose it properly. And then it turns out she couldn't. And she just completely U-turned on her message and has fallen into the real toxic side of the fat acceptance community. And again, to go back around to what I said at the start, everyone should have the respect and dignity to live in the body they're currently living in. Absolutely, fatism is bad. Absolutely. But I don't care how you package it and how militantly you word it. Obesity is unhealthy. Whatever happened to rational conversation? If you can convince me
doesn't
I'm
exist.
wrong, I'll admit I'm wrong. But you playing a ukulele and eating cake isn't going to do that.
Just off the back of what you were saying, Adam, I completely agree, but I think you can turn around and talk about it from a disability point of view, whether it's over or underactive thyroids and things like that, because people do have conditions that mean that it's harder to regulate your weight and stuff. So from a weight perspective, there's so many different things that people are dealing with. The part that gets me is that, see, if I could eat pizza and chips and high-fat foods and whatever every day, everyone would do it. The thing is, I feel as though it's getting to the territory of being healthy isn't important because you're going to put the weight back on in 5 years anyway.
Yeah. The thing is that she's at one end of an extreme and there's another end of the extreme. And I think in some way it's a blessing that there aren't many people at her end of the extreme which are touting that obviously something that's clearly medically unsound and dangerous. We know it's a problem. Scientifically, people know it. I think what's not highlighted enough is this thing that, that there is this beauty image that is so far from the reality of what human beings are supposed to be. And that's just as dangerous.
And if that's all she was saying, I'd get coffee with her if that's all she was saying. And feel free to weigh in at home in the comments. Let's keep this discussion rolling. And for more discussions like this, don't forget to hit that like button and smash that subscribe. Moving on to our good friends at the Disability Expo, we are going to have a main stage there with all sorts of people performing, including us and the wonderful Eva Abley. And here to tell you more about what's going on the main stage are our good friends at the Expo. Take it away.
We want all delegates to feel centre stage at Disability Expo. Our main stage will be a platform for entertaining and inclusive content from a wide variety of acts. Here's a taste of our exciting lineup. Britain's Got Talent finalists and self-proclaimed cerebral palsy warrior Eva Abley will be performing a comedy set on both days of our event. That is not to be missed. Our event partners, the Grumpy Gits Show, will be recording an episode of their podcast live from the event. Hosts Adam Pearson, Simon Sansom, Chris Lee Smith and Duncan Casburn will be putting the world to rights, discussing everything from serious disability issues to the silliest of questions. The Disabled Inventors Showcase, sponsored by Innovate UK, will shine a spotlight on innovators who have been through the grant process as they demonstrate their products and share their stories. We are working with a number of fashion brands, designers and talent agencies to bring you an inclusive fashion show in which everyone feels represented. Because everyone deserves to feel confident in their clothes and able to express themselves through fashion. Musician, songwriter and neurodiversity advocate Jay Grange will be uniting us all in a song with a live performance of his empowering We Will Rise single, spreading the message of ending inequalities, divisions and prejudice in our society. There is truly something for everyone at Disability Expo this July, so register for your ticket at www.thedisabilityexpo.com for a day full of both fun and discovery.
And now the end is near, and so I'll do another outro. And that is all I had written of that, so let's never sing again. It is time for the end of another amazing podcast, gentlemen. As always, it's been an honour and a pleasure working with you. Mr. Martin Dugan, if people want to follow you online, not in the real world, that's illegal, how can they do so and where can they find you?
If you want to follow me online and on social media, on my Twitter, it's MartyDugan2012, and on Instagram, it's MartinDugan11.
And Mr. Duncan Casman, if people want to hear more about you, your family, and your shit cat, where can they do so?
It's shitcat. No, it's PDA Dad UK on all social media platforms.
And Chris Lee-Smith, if people want to see you randomly yelling into the void on Twitter, where can they do so?
Oh, it's been hotted up the last couple of days, but they can find me at the Real Grump Dads on Twitter and Instagram.
And if you want to follow me, I'll be honest, it's been quite Pokemon heavy these past few days. It's Adam_Pearson on Twitter and Adam_Pearson_TV on Instagram. Stop laughing, Chris. Those photos aren't on there. Those are from my private collection and private collection only. And thank you all for watching. As always, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. #shitcat in the comments. We'll pick a winner and you'll get a shit cat. And as always, take care. Love you all. I've been Adam Pearson. He's been Marty Dugan. He's been Dr. Casman. He has been Chris Lee-Smith. See you next time, and don't be grumpy alone.